The distress signal was faint, a looping digital ping buried in radiation noise, the kind no one noticed unless they were already listening for ghosts. Alex was listening, not because he expected anything, but because habit clung harder than reason. After a decade salvaging derelicts and abandoned wrecks in dead systems, you either went mad or you started hoping the static would whisper something back. The signal repeated every 83 seconds. Old structure, alien encoding. He ran it through a translator, then another. It wasn't a language he recognized, but the urgency was unmistakable. Crashed, low on power, and isolated. Moser flagged it, logged it, and moved on. Alex rerouted course. The moon wasn't charted. Just another ball of regolith orbiting a forgotten gas giant. No traffic. No stations. No reason to be here except dying. As his ship breached the exosphere, scanners picked up the source. A sleek, arrow-shaped vessel half buried in gray dust. Elegant and alien. A design built for speed, not survival. He landed without ceremony, suit pressurized, tools magnetized to his belt. The ship looked organic. Curved lines, faint bioluminescent seams, and technology way out of his price range. He approached slowly, arms visible, boots kicking up fine powder. A hatch hissed open before he touched it. Inside, it was colder than expected. Air still breathable. The lighting dimmed to acknowledge him. Systems recognizing foreign presence but not hostile intent. Two figures stood near the console, identical in every visible way. Pale violet skin. Twin sets of large, silvery eyes. Slender, tall, youthful, but the weight in their expressions said more than age. "You're human," one of them said in precise, accented Terran. "I am." The other didn't speak. Her gaze was harder, protective. "Your ship's damaged," he said, glancing at exposed circuits sparking faintly near the engine housing. "Core alignment's off. Fusion channel collapsed." "Yes," the first answered. "Can you help?" Alex didn't answer immediately. He walked past them, toward the engine bay, noting how their posture stiffened. They were afraid, but not desperate enough to beg. Pride clung to their movements. He opened a panel, scanned the system with his hand tool. The readings confirmed his suspicion. The matrix core was intact, but the alignment unit had overloaded. Too much energy at once. Probably a solar flare or a resonance spike. Their tech was beautiful, but fragile. Redundant safety systems should have kicked in. They didn't. He looked over his shoulder. "I can fix it. Not with your parts. But I can adapt mine." "That's incompatible," the second twin said flatly. "With your standards? Sure. With reality? No." They exchanged glances. The first one nodded. He retrieved a crate from his ship. Old Terran military parts. Hardened components. Reprogrammed systems he tweaked over years of isolation. When he returned, the cautious twin stood blocking the hallway. "Why help?" "I don't like graveyards," he said, brushing past her. The repairs were surgical. He stripped the interface, bypassed overloaded regulators, and fused human composite, wired to their superconducting lattice. He carved new housing from polymer plates. The whole time they watched, sometimes whispering to each other, sometimes silent. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. By the third hour, the lights stabilized. The ship's AI stopped cycling emergency protocols. Temperature leveled. "You do not work like our engineers," said the first twin, handing him a container of water. "No manuals." That was evident. "Does your species send children on solo flights often?" Her eyes narrowed, but there was no insult in his tone. "We are not children. We are in the rite of passage. Our people must prove their worth by navigating the stars unaided. It is sacred. Crashing part of the test?" A small, reluctant smile. "Failing and surviving is." Alex leaned against the bulkhead, wiping grime from his hands. "What species?" "We are Vesari. I am Vel. She is Saran." Vel's voice was soft, inquisitive. Saran's was silence edged with suspicion. Vel approached like water. Saran watched like a hawk. "Human. Alex. Are all humans like you?" Vel asked. "God, I hope not." She laughed. It startled her more than him. By the end of the day, the main core responded to startup procedures. The ship didn't move yet, but it was breathing again. Saran ran diagnostics in a language Alex didn't understand. Vel stayed with him. You live alone? Mostly. No crew. Had one. Not anymore. She didn't pry, but she didn't leave either. She asked about Earth. He told her it wasn't like the vids. More noise, more gravity, more scars. She asked about his ship. He said it was built from the bones of 5 others. Everything patched, nothing matching. She asked about his tools. He told her they were older than she was. That night, they shared heat packs and protein bars. Saran didn't eat. Vel tried everything, face crinkling at unfamiliar flavors. When she asked about the bitter one, he said it was coffee. When she asked why humans drank something so vile, he said it kept them awake for war. The next morning, he opened the thrust manifold. The damage extended deeper. Plasma injectors misaligned. Saran joined him silently. For the first hour, they didn't speak, but she handed him tools without asking, matched his pace. Her technique was flawless, by the book. Your method is chaotic, she said eventually. Yours is fragile. She didn't argue. He cut a housing ring with a torch, sparks showering over his gloves. Your ship's pretty, but beauty won't save you from a vacuum. Saran finally looked at him. Why do you help us? Why does everyone assume I want something? Because that's how the galaxy works. I'm not from the galaxy. I'm from Earth. She didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. By the 3rd day, they were talking while working. Vel shared stories, dreams of captaining her own ship, of proving herself to the elders. Saran shared nothing, but she listened. When the injector stabilized, Alex rebooted the secondary systems. The ship hummed to life. Navigation flickered back. Vel clapped her hands and spun. Saran allowed herself a small nod. You can leave now, she said, not unkindly. I could, Alex replied. Will you? Vel looked at him. Stay a little longer. Please. He didn't answer right away. He tested the gravity buffers, adjusted the output ratio. He said, You'll need new calibration on launch. That night, Vel sat beside him while Saran rested. Our people know of humans. You are seen as unpredictable, primitive, aggressive, and none of that explains you. You think I'm lying? I think you're broken. He raised an eyebrow. Not in a bad way, like a tool made for one job that learned to do something else. He considered that. I'm not used to people talking to me like that. Truth matters to us. Not everyone. She looked at the stars outside. We thought we'd die here. When you arrived, Saran thought you'd exploit us. I hoped you wouldn't. Neither of us expected you to fix everything. I didn't fix everything. Just your ship. She hesitated. Would you fix other things? If asked. Alex didn't move. Like what? She looked away. Loneliness. Emptiness. Guilt. He stared at the fusion core lights pulsing slowly behind the transparent wall. That's harder to fix. Still, would you try? 3 days passed after the ship flew again. They didn't leave. Alex didn't ask why. He didn't push, and they didn't explain. He kept working on his own ship, tuning the hull plates, optimizing fuel ratios, running diagnostics he already knew by heart. He worked because routine gave him distance from thoughts that pulled too deep. Vel stayed close. Sometimes she asked questions. Sometimes she just watched. Her presence was constant but never heavy. She was learning, not about engineering, but about him. And he noticed. Saran was different. She spent long hours inside the Vesari ship, adjusting systems, running internal simulations. But she never left anything to chance. Each time she emerged, she carried questions. Why did he splice Terran fiber into a Vesari crystal array? How did he calculate coolant ratios using analog methods? Why did he prefer patchwork to perfect integration? He answered them all, not out of pride, but because questions meant she was opening. Slowly, cautiously, the suspicion began to fade from her tone. It didn't disappear, but the edge softened. You don't act like someone who wants to be followed. Saran said one morning, watch him weld a cracked power conduit. I don't. Then why are you still here? He set down the welder. Because sometimes the things you never planned for matter more than the things you chased. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She watched him a moment longer. She asked again. I figured. She doesn't understand what it would cost you. She doesn't know what already did. Vel brought food later. Human rations she'd learned to heat properly, and some kind of Vesari fruit that glowed faintly and tasted like citrus. They ate in silence, seated on opposite ends of a cargo crate. She leaned forward. When we leave, I want you to come with us. He looked at her. And go where? Where we're needed. You don't need me. You needed someone with tools. Now you have a working ship. What else do you want? You. There was no hesitation in her voice. No shyness. Just truth. He didn't respond right away. The stars outside the hangar didn't twinkle. They never did. That was just a lie told from inside atmospheres. In space, light was clean. Sharp. Unforgiving. You don't even know who I am, he said eventually. I know what you've done. I know how you speak. I know how you move. And I know you keep waiting for something to make you stop. Stop what? Drifting. He exhaled. You think fixing your ship grounded me? No. I think seeing someone trust you again reminded you that you exist. Saran entered then, carrying a data slate. She said nothing about the conversation, but her eyes narrowed slightly. Vel stood and took the slate without another word, retreating to the Vesari vessel. Saran remained. She waited until they were alone. She believes in you two easily. She sees clearly. She sees what she wants to. Alex wiped his hands with a rag. What do you see? A man who lost something, and who doesn't want to lose anything again, even if that means staying nowhere forever. That's not a crime. No, but it's not living either. She turned to leave, but paused at the threshold. If you do stay, don't do it for her. Do it because you choose it. He worked late that night, partly to clear his head, partly to avoid making a choice. But even the stars eventually pass overhead, and he knew he couldn't orbit indecision forever. The next morning, Vel asked to learn how to repair systems. Terran systems, not Vesari. She wanted to understand how he thought. He showed her how to reroute circuitry, how to interpret analog signals, how to override protocols with manual control. She learned fast. Her mind was flexible, her curiosity tireless. Saran joined later, saying nothing, just watching from a distance. When Vel made a mistake, she stepped in, not to criticize, but to offer another approach. It was the closest either of them had come to smiling together. By the end of the session, the two of them were arguing over optimization routes in human salvage code. Alex watched, arms crossed, silent. When the Vesari ship pulsed a warning light, a fuel containment breach, he moved without hesitation. Inside the engine bay, he found the source, a microfracture in the fusion manifold, invisible to Vesari diagnostics, but obvious to him. A flaw hidden in elegant design. Perfection cracked under pressure. He replaced it with an asymmetrical Terran component that wasn't pretty but wouldn't break. Saran followed him out. You shouldn't have been able to detect that, she said. I've seen that fault before, in battle cruisers. Where? He didn't answer, but she knew. Were you military? No, but I wore the uniform. Why did you leave? Because they stopped asking questions and started following orders. She didn't push further, but she stayed near him after that. Vel returned with another offer. There's a Vesari outpost 10 light years from here. They'll give you citizenship if I vouch for you. I don't want citizenship. Then let me rephrase. I want you there, with us. I don't care about legal structure. What do you think happens after that? We build something new. I don't build. I repair. Then start with me. Her plea was quiet, sincere, dangerous. Saran stood behind her, silent. She didn't stop her. She didn't approve either. But she was watching. Always.